Hey, it's Alex, Maruka, and Drastic from Nerds or Derves, and we're back to talk about Dark Gothic. Finally! Yes, finally. It's been like, what, a month now since we did our unboxing video?
Maybe a little bit more.
Maybe. We've been busy. But, regardless, let's do this. So, we've got a list of things we want to talk about. We've got good, we've got meh, and we've got bad. We're going to start with the good.
We're not cooking up some fun.
We're not cooking up some fun with this one.
No.
So, first thing I want to talk about is the art. I really like the art on this game. It seems like they put a lot of work into it. It was a labor of love. Pretty sure it was the people who worked on the game put themselves into it.
Yeah, if you pay attention, you can see that they took photos of themselves and put them in the pictures. Some of them have more editing than others, but you could tell, like, this is the same person, just two different characters on the cards.
And some of them are just creepy.
Oh, don't.
No,
No, that's going on the bad list.
yeah, well, it's still creepy.
It's really creepy.
Half man, half Sphinx cats.
That one's got like a chain.
Yeah.
He's a gangster.
He's a G.
Yeah.
And then as you can see, some of them have a ton of editing. And for some reason this card is double-sided.
Well, I never actually noticed that.
Yeah,
one.
me either. A ton of editing. And this guy is actually the creator of the game.
Yeah,
that was the
game designer.
Yeah.
So yeah, it seems like they put a lot of work into it, and you can't really knock it. When we first bought the game, we were thinking, oh man, this looks stupid. It looks like they just kind of half-assed everything. But when we opened it up, it really became apparent that they didn't. Like, they put more work into it than I was expecting they did.
And into the art.
Yes, we're
into
only
the
talking
art
the
style.
art. We'll get to more later. Card quality. So these cards, not that one. That one's weird. All right, so they feel good. They don't feel cheap. It definitely feels like we paid for what we got.
They don't feel like Force of Will cards.
They don't feel amazing.
Yes.
I want to say, well, first of all, they're very glossy, which means it's kind of, let's see if I'm getting it in. It's hard to film them. There's always going to be a glare on them. But they feel almost like they're Magic the Gathering cards, where if we're going to compare them to other card games, let's compare Magic the Gathering cards to Weiss Schwarz cards, for instance.
Okay.
Magic cards are kind of flimsier, and Weiss Schwarz cards are a lot thicker.
Yeah.
These ones feel more aligned with Magic the Gathering cards, if we're going to be comparing them to other card games. They don't feel amazing, but they don't feel cheap. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Character abilities.
Yeah.
So,
Probably one of our favorites.
yeah.
Yeah.
Besides the art. The
These are
overpoweredness of some of
interesting.
them.
It's not even the overpoweredness, it's that there's different ways you can play the game to an extent.
Yeah, I just don't think you can say not overpowered and have Charlotte Dubois.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you have her,
She's like the broken
you're
one.
overpowered regardless.
Right, so what Charlotte Dubois does is...
Probably should have read it.
You probably
Yeah.
should have read it. Your hand size is 7 cards instead of 6. And she also has an ability of locations cost you 1 less to acquire, which isn't that big of a deal.
Yeah.
And she has no honor, which normally wouldn't be good, but having 7 card hands is a lot better than having any honor anyway. It's just nice because there's different play styles you can adapt your deck into based on your character's abilities. So you're not only going for just the same cards. You want to really work around what your character does best and try to negate the weaknesses that they have.
Yeah, because definitely some of the cards, like her, are really overpowered, and then you have some cards that are really only good for certain things. Like there's one that all it does is you can reroll this dice. So if you get like a skull and you don't want a skull, you can re-roll it, but the second roll you have to keep. So
Regardless.
yeah, you have to keep the second roll. You can't choose to keep the first one. So I mean, and that you don't even have to roll that dice very much unless you get very specific cards. So it's not, that card almost does nothing.
It's situational, whereas a card like
Yeah.
Charlotte is throughout the entire game, or even Isabella Von Tuke, who you just discard any card from your hand to block any strike or fight card, any effect that way, right? So, and then you also have the 1 less colorless for gear on her as well. So, I mean, she's kind of overpowered.
She's really good.
When I played her, I bought a lot of gear because I could pay one less of the silver colorless, whatever we want to call it.
Yeah.
And then anytime anybody tried to make me discard a gear, I just blocked it with one of the resources that I didn't need. for
Right.
that turn.
Exactly.
So it just there are characters in this game that are really good throughout the entire game, and then there's the very situational ones that I'm not a fan of.
So what we're saying is there's some very, very good characters, and then there's the other ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you're doing random selection, you can get screwed over.
Something you did bring up earlier is the Omen die. I really like the Omen die.
Yeah, the Omen die is really
Very
cool.
good.
Yeah, it was nice. It was nice to find in the box. It looks great. It is good quality. It seems like it rolls well enough. That's really all I have to say about the Omen die.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got a skull. Okay. Nice box. Who wants to talk about game flavor?
I would say the game flavor is black cherry.
I have to agree.
Yeah.
We thought of raspberry originally, but
It had hints. It had some
Yeah.
hints of raspberry, but
Yeah.
it was mostly black cherry flavored.
in all seriousness, it's a really awesome idea, and it reminds me a lot of we talked about this before. Is for me, it's a cross between Thunderstone and Ascension.
Right.
Right, because in Thunderstone you have the community cards, kind of like Dominion,
Mhm.
but you're also doing the fighting of Thunderstone,
bosses.
Yes.
right? I really like the subject matter of this game. It's really cool to me. There's no other deck building game I've seen that is like this as far as subject matter is concerned. So
Yeah, they do a really good job with like they hit home with the Dark Gothic stuff. I mean, they missed some stuff, but they did really good with it.
It does feel like a Dark Gothic themed game.
Yeah.
One problem I did have with it, and it's more of just a little gripe that I have, is there's no Frankenstein monster in this game. Why not? This is full on Dark Gothic. We've got, let's see.
They're missing like one of the best tropes.
All right, so we've got for the villains a spectral horseman. It's the headless horseman, right?
Yeah.
Boom. That's there. A werewolf. That's a werewolf. Okay.
Yeah.
Banshee. Banshees are pretty dark gothic-y, right?
Yeah.
Creeping terror. I get creature from the Black Lagoon,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily gothic horror, but might as well be. Another werewolf. Ooh. A bog fiend. So we got another bog fiendish creature from the Black Lagoon, might as
Yeah.
well. Vampire. That's dark gothic.
very much so.
Very much.
A dreaded scarecrow. I don't really know of any like gothic horror that included scarecrows, but that seems pretty
Yeah, scary.
gothic horror-y.
Yeah.
And a gargoyle. That's like the epitome of
Dark
gothic
Gothic.
horror. Yeah, this is what you would see in like a gothic castle. But where's the Frankenstein monster? It's
Alex.
not there.
Alex Lowe's table.
Did you see the table? I flipped to the bitch. We do have, these scary things. Those aren't dark gothic though. Those are just cat people.
And they're really freaking creepy.
They're
I don't
creepy.
want to just turn that
Yeah,
over.
just-
I don't even want to look at that anymore.
Just make it go away.
I can't believe you guys have held out of letting it stare at you this entire time.
I know, right?
I've just been ignoring it.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
Let's talk about the Hungry Dead for a second.
That card.
This is
Hey.
awesome. This is one of my favorite things about this game. Any deck building game that I've played up until this point, a large part of it has been trying to get rid of the cards you start with or the unnecessary cards and get them out of your deck. And that always revolves around buying cards that you can get to trash other cards or trash the trashing cards that you already bought because you bought too many. And that brings up the whole other strategy of how many trashing cards you need. That's not a problem in this game though, because in the communal pile we've got the Hungry Dead, which for the cost of 1 red, 1 blue, and 1 green, you can just trash a card you've already played this turn. Or cards in the center line, which is also nice because sometimes you want to get rid of the cards that are in the center line and they're not helping anybody, or you want to screw somebody over because you can't buy a good card and you know they will be able to.
So yeah, we just played a game of Dominion where there was no card that allowed you to trash cards. There was cards where you could get them back into the supply, but I think all of us had one, so
Yeah.
we were just kind of exchanging cards. So,
Yeah.
Right.
so a card like that in a game like Dominion would be awesome.
Yeah.
Because when we were playing Dominion, my deck was like this big because I couldn't really get rid of any cards. In Dark Gothic, I've had decks that were 20 cards max, and a lot of those were drawing cards.
Yeah.
It's
Now,
just,
one of the things I really did like about this game, and they don't really do this in like any other game I've seen so far, is the fact that you can get rid of cards that you've already played instead of just the ones in your hand. So, I'm gonna play this card and then get rid of it. So you got to actually use it before you get rid of it, so you don't have to sacrifice part of your turn in order to get rid of them.
Yeah.
Right. That's also nice.
So that was something I really liked about it.
So you could use a bunch of greens to buy a number where you get 2 greens and then discard one of the 1 greens, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's probably the ultimate resource strategy for a lot of deck builders.
I like this. That's quite possibly my favorite mechanic of the game.
Yeah.
So now that we're done talking about the things we liked, let's talk about the things we kind of liked.
They were
Meh.
kind of
Yeah. They were all right.
Yeah.
So first thing I want to talk about is the triple resource system.
Meh.
Yeah. It's very meh.
I like what they're going for.
Yeah.
I've never played a game with the triple resource system before.
In another deck builder, it would be cool, but
Yeah.
it'd have
Or
to be
if they
implemented
had-
much differently than in this game.
Yeah,
Right.
or if they had really thought out the abilities. If they had thought out the abilities, it would have been cool. Not did this crap where, look, all these colors, it's every single color in the game. They all draw you cards.
Yes, so there's no real identity for the colors. We've got red ones. What's the red? The red is combat. Combat, you would assume, maybe gets you more gear to fight monsters, or maybe it gives you some honor. But no, it can draw you cards.
Or getting the attack cards like murder, that
Right.
kind of stuff.
Right, it'll draw you
Yeah.
cards. So blue signifies spirit, correct?
Yeah.
And with spirit, you would assume, maybe it gives you more resources to buy your cards, or maybe it has something to do with a religion aspect, maybe banishing ghosts, which actually blue does that, but blue also draws you cards and gives you combat. Then we've got green, which is cunning. Cunning, you would assume, I don't know, cunning would be the color that would draw you cards, it would do deck manipulation, it would let you
Yeah.
remove cards from your deck from the game, but it draws you cards, and it gives you combat.
It does everything. Like, look, this is blue and green. They both cost the exact same thing, but one gives you blue and one gives you green. This gives you 3 green to buy, or 3 blue to buy with, 3 green to buy with, but they cost the exact same thing. Like,
Just-
what? You couldn't come up with like different strategies, game?
No.
I mean, Alex, we've been talking about this probably since we first started playing. Is
For
there's
about
no
a month.
Yeah, there's no real identity to any
Yeah.
of the colors, and that's the problem that we
Yeah.
have with it.
It doesn't seem like there's anything specific to each color.
It seems like all 3 colors do the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So while we're on the topic of triple colors, let's talk about every color, which is the silver color. The silver resources in this game, we think are pretty strong, and they should be,
Yeah.
because if something can make any color in a game with 3 colors, then yeah, it's going to be strong, but they're all over the place. Like every card is silver almost.
Yeah, like this is a silver card. It doesn't give you any mana, but you can pay any color to buy it, and you just draw a card, and you have a slight chance to have to discard a card,
Yeah,
but
but-
you get to pick the card you discard.
Right, you don't have to match up your colors to buy it. It's just 3 of one color.
This one here, it gives you 1 colorless, and it says you may destroy a card in your hand or discard pile, which means you don't have to get rid of something in your hand if you have a lot of cards in your discard pile. You can get rid of one of your starter resources, and there you go.
Now you've just got a better card.
Yeah, and it's really good. And then you have this that only costs 4, and it costs 4 of any color, and you can actually discard it in order to block a strike card or fight effect. And if you do, you draw a card, or if you didn't have to use it before, you draw 2 cards the next turn and then discard a card.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite cards.
Yeah, it's really good. very broken.
So what color would you assume that would be? That would be more of a green card, maybe a green and a red card, because
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know,
it even
blocking
has like
combat
a
and
mortar
then
and pestle and all this good stuff.
So like blocking maybe seems like a red, like a combat thing, while drawing cards is green for cunning. Nope, it's silver. It's 4 silver. Have fun.
So I really learned. I mean, I today just learned about that. We'll get to it later, but that third strategy, that all silver kind of deck, where you get all the silver cards that you can, and basically you're probably, it's probably one of the best strategies.
Right, colors. Who needs colors? We've got all of them.
Yeah.
Draw and colorless. Let's do this.
Yeah.
So just draw and colorless, and that's probably it. I mean, that's probably in game.
That is every.
Top, you know what I mean?
That's every strategy. There's not all that many strategies. We talked about there's a lot of strategies that you can go with based on your actual character and their abilities, but really they all end up boiling down to you get card draw and get things that make silver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. We've tried strike decks to mess with your opponents. They're not all that great. We've tried other decks. I made one that used you discarded things with high investigation value to make even more resources, and that really just came down to I'm making lots of silver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's all just get the silver.
Yeah.
Silver's very good. It's probably too good.
So the final meh thing that we want to talk about is the short game length. We actually played the first game and recorded it, and that was a really long game, but we also didn't really understand the in-game strategy, and I think that was the problem. Now that we all know that, it's basically rush to kill the villains immediately as quickly as possible, and that's not exactly fun. Not for me at least.
You don't have time to really make much of a good deck. You're just trying to win.
Yeah, pretty much. If you've killed 2 of the villains, you probably won the game.
If you kill 2 villains, you won the game. You don't really need to bother playing at that point.
Yeah, even just the first 2.
Right.
You can kind of just sit back and buy other cards to give you, maybe a little bit more just to keep you on top. But
yeah,
once you got those 2, you're just like, all right, I'm done.
Yeah, because if you're wanting to play like a card game that takes you a while, this is not going to be it. Because the only way it's going to take forever is if every player doesn't want it to go fast. So if there's one player that's like, I don't want to be playing this game, let's go really fast, they can just go, oh, I killed boss. Probably takes them like maybe 6 turns.
Yeah,
If they get really unlucky, that might take a little longer.
Yeah, we had to split up our play between the 2 days.
Yeah.
Right. We had day 1 and day 2 of the gameplay.
right.
Yeah.
We all understood on day 2, we should probably start killing the villains.
So the first time we played this game and we recorded it, it took 2 filming sessions, which was probably about 2 hours long. Later on, we've gotten games done in 20 minutes.
Yeah, it really doesn't take that long.
It all comes down to the end game, and I think that's the problem with this is once you actually realize the end game, I don't think the game is fun anymore.
Right.
Yeah, it becomes not fun. There's no strategy. There's no, well, maybe I should do this. Maybe I should do that. No, it's well, nothing good came out. Well, let's buy a resource. Nothing good came out. Let's buy a resource. Okay, let's get rid of this crap by killing the hungry dead, and then boom, silver, gimme.
What I like about deck building games personally is making a really cool deck. I like having just bare bones basics, just the same as everybody else to start out, but I like making the coolest deck, the one with the coolest synergy, or the most powerful one, or the quickest one. And I want to actually have all my efforts come to fruition. I don't want to just buy a few things and then kill the villain and the game's over.
I think this leads into our first bad thing about the game, which we've kind of touched on a little bit before, which was there's not a lot of strategy.
Right.
There's no competitive value for this game.
Exactly.
There's really not.
I mean, short game links mixed with you have to know, once you know the end game, the game's over. Not a lot of strategies for this game. There's no competitive value. That's why I think I have such a problem with it. Games
Right.
like Ascension or Dominion or Thunderstone, the ones that I really care about. Well, those ones, you have so many cards to choose from where
Right.
you can make any type of deck that you want. It's much different than this game where it's like, oh, you're gonna try and buy that card? Yeah, I wanted that one. You did too?
Yeah.
Oh shit, that sucks.
Yeah. Well, sorry, but at least there's multiple other versions of the exact same card.
Yeah.
But maybe they have a different name.
Yeah.
Or maybe they cost one color difference.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
you have the 2 red card. I have the 2 green. Oh, you have 2 blue. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
That's it.
Same thing.
Yeah.
On a more serious note.
Gremlins.
All right, so Gremlins. This is I think our biggest con for this game. This card is terrifying, isn't it? Yes.
It's so creepy.
This card is terrifying. This is the scariest thing I've ever seen, and I always feel awkward when it comes onto the board. And it's a really good card, and that's the worst part because I always want to put it in my deck.
But I don't want to look at it.
Yeah.
You know what this card, the Hungry Dead, was actually built for? Getting rid of Gremlins off of the center
Eat the Gremlin.
pile.
It really
Yeah.
was.
That's what they were thinking. They were like, this is the creepiest card we could ever come up with.
Mhm.
So let's actually put a card in there so that they can discard from the center row. Or they were like, it's a really good idea for helping their deck building. Allowing them to discard their own cards. Oh, we made this card. Yeah, let's just add the fact that they can get rid of it from the center pile too.
Yeah, I made a deck. Gremlins came out very early. I put Gremlins in the deck, and then every time I drew it, I just kind of like put it down and just didn't play it.
It's disgusting.
It's really scary. I don't like looking at it.
And you know what's really creepy is if you think about it, it rolls the omen die and it gets stronger to defeat if you roll anything but a skull. So it multiplies.
Oh,
Every
God.
time you try to do it, every time you try to kill it, it multiplies.
Yeah, and also this cat's got a mustache. He doesn't even have whiskers. He's got a mustache.
It'd be like if they put my face on that, the full-on mustache. Just like, here's a cat, here's my face. Just gonna turn him up, you know what I mean? That's what it reminds me of.
Yeah. Shocking discoveries.
Ooh, shocking.
Oh,
So shocking.
shocking.
And not that bad, honestly.
No.
Yeah. It's like you get these things in your deck, and then the first thing that happens when you draw it is you have to get rid of it, and you get a shocking discovery.
So what would you think a shocking discovery would be? It'd be something that would really screw you over. Because the way you get shocking discoveries is by getting dark secrets, and the way you get dark secrets is by buying town elders. And we all know town elders are really, really powerful.
So it should be a con some of the time, right?
You would
I mean, it should be a con all the time, but
it wouldn't even have to be all the time, just some of the time.
yeah.
Let's look at some of the shocking discoveries. How about
Yeah, look at this one.
Hero of the People. You can acquire an ally from the center line for free. If there are none there, acquire the top card of the deck instead. Oh no, that was really bad shocking discovery.
Oh,
So not only do you get
I don't want allies.
you get an awesome town elder, but you also get a free ally.
Yeah, so what did we just get? Let's say we bought Lord Handbrook, who gives you 3 silver. Oh, but when you bought him, you got a dark secret. That's gonna be really bad. Oh, but you get to just acquire an ally for free. So, not such a dark secret, not such a shocking discovery.
It's not very shocking. It's
Yeah.
shockingly awesome.
So the next one we have is like choose any number of cards from the center line and destroy them.
You want to really screw somebody over?
You want to get rid of that Gremlins?
I mean, yeah.
Oh,
I want to
basically,
yeah.
get rid of it.
that's another get rid of a Gremlins card. But the problem is, once again, we talk about there's only one strategy.
Right.
There's only one real strategy. So unless you know I can't buy that and this person's going to buy it ahead of time, I might as well just get rid of it.
Right.
It's
It
not,
says any number. It's not
bad,
like
Yeah.
but it's also not great. But you would expect it to be bad.
Right. You would expect a dark secret and a shocking discovery to, I had to trash my whole hand. There's one that makes you discard your hand, which actually does fit into the theme of it being a shocking discovery. Yeah, it's bad, but it's not like, I shouldn't have bought this amazing card, but then I just had to discard my hand once. And that's the worst there is. One of them is just, you can't buy anything this turn after you play this. I had one round where we were playing where I knew the shocking discovery was in my deck. I played everything before I drew it, then played my draw spell, drew the Shocking Discovery, played it, and then it said I can't buy anything, but I had already played my whole turn.
Yeah.
Yeah. Strategies.
It's not everything, like, you have to trash all the cards you played this turn. That would be something.
Yeah.
Or you have to gain, there would be a good one. You have to gain a whole bunch of, like, courage or, like, starter cards.
Yeah.
That would be, like, something that would actually ruin your deck a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, some sort of penalty for getting the good Town Elder cards.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we keep talking about it, we keep going back to it, but there's only one strategy. So when something, you would expect one of these cards to disrupt that strategy, and
Right.
they don't.
Right.
Maybe for one turn, but they don't.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, take this one for instance. It's got bad stuff if you can't defeat the card. If you can't defeat the card, you discard your hand. But if you can defeat the card, and mind you, it only costs 3 red, you just get to take a training card of your choice for free and put it in your hand. Not discard, but in your hand.
So essentially the worst thing that can happen is you skip your turn.
Yeah.
And then sometimes even if you might skip your turn, you don't actually skip your turn, you get free stuff out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Shocking Discoveries, not so shocking. Let's talk about Town Elders real quick. The Town Elders are really, really strong. And they feel like it. Like, in this one, you roll the Omen die and gain that amount of silver. That's really good. Take a card from, like, your discard pile and just put it in your hand. Super good. And the only thing that really balances them out is you have to take a Dark Secret, which will give you a Shocking Discovery.
Which is not always bad.
Yeah. But that's not really that balanced.
Not balanced at all.
That's not balanced at all.
Yeah, one of these cards, you have a chance to draw. You roll the Omen die, and you get to draw cards from your discard pile equal to the number on the Omen die. You can draw 4 cards that turn. That is not balanced.
So that's all we have to say about Dark Gothic. Final ratings. If this game was a restaurant, I would give it 2 out of 5 stars.
If this game was fruit, I'd have to give it 2 out of 9 bananas.
If this game was poultry, I'd have to give it 4 out of 20 chickens. 4 out of 20 chickens.
Dark Gothic.